Hello and welcome to Tactical Startup. I'm your host, Taylor Darcy. In this week's episode, we are going to talk about mental health and how it can impact you as an entrepreneur. There's a lot of buzz about mental health and mental awareness, throughout society and social media. But one of the things that gets neglected to be discussed is how, as a business owner and entrepreneur, how you can maintain your mental health when so much rests and resides on your shoulders and your success. It can be very, very stressful. And how you deal with that stress can make a huge difference in whether you are successful as a business owner and entrepreneur. And it really comes down to, for instance, when you're on an airplane and you get on the airplane, and one of the very first things that they do, and sometimes you pay attention and sometimes you don't, but one of the very first things that they do is they tell you that in the case of an emergency, to put on your own mask before you help others put on their mask. And the same can be extrapolated to anyone, but specifically in the case of an entrepreneur or business owner. You literally have to make it a priority to maintain your mental health, to take the time to rest from the stress. There is a big propensity among entrepreneurs to work insane amounts of hours and 12, 15, 18-hour days for weeks and months on end. And they get so burned out because they don't take the time to spend helping themselves first. They don't want to put on their own mask. And that's a big issue because when that happens, you're not able to help as many people. You need to put on your own mask. You need to do that self-care. You need to take care of yourself because in the end, if you aren't well, you can't put on someone else's mask, right? You can't help someone if you burn out so quickly because of the stress that you're enduring. And that's a huge problem in the entrepreneur world, a huge problem. The depression, suicide, all of these anxiety, come from that position. And the key there is that you need to, first of all, address it. If you are having issues with depression and anxiety and just everything that goes with mental health, you need to see a medical professional. I'm not a medical professional. I can be here and help you, coach you, guide you, and help you to grow as a human being and a business owner, but I'm not a medical professional. I can't help you in that way. But I can say that if you don't get help, that the consequences can be severe. What do I mean? You are needed. You have family. You have people that need you and love you and want you in their lives. And if you aren't here because you don't take care of yourself, the world is worse off. We need every voice in the choir. We need every person to listen, to be here, to add to the beauty of this world. And we can't do that if you don't take care of yourself. If for some horrific reason you ended up dying, committing suicide, or ended up in a mental health facility, your contribution to the world would be missed. So what can you do? What are some steps that you can take in order to maintain your mental health? First of all, step out of work. Take time with your family. I'm guilty of this as well. Oh, there's always one more thing you can do. There's always, I'm not perfect in this. This is something I struggle with. So don't think that this advice comes from, or these thoughts come from a position of perfection. It's a position of, I'm continuing evolving and working on it and trying to be better at what I do. And that's one of the reasons in my previous episodes we talked about automation, is to take some of the burden off of me that doesn't cost me extra money. And that's why hiring employees is a big win when you get to that point. But before that, you're everything. You're accounting, you're legal, you're marketing, you're doing the product. And so that can be a very stressful position when you are truly a one-man band. So be careful of what you allow into your time. Sometimes the best thing you can do is say no. And the reason for it is that it frees up the time for you to say yes to the things that truly matter to you. Building the next best thing or the next thing that could take your company to the next level isn't nearly as important as the time that you spend with your family and loved ones. Now, again, I'm not suggesting I'm perfect at this. I go home and I still work because there's always one more thing to be done. I don't have anyone else to help me. And so there's a lot of work that I do behind the scenes that my clients don't see, that my family sees me working at home. And I'm always trying to improve. I always am I'll read. I read a lot. I love to read. And so I may not be working on the business per se, but I'm working on improving myself. But sometimes you need to step away from those things and just put the stuff down. And, right now we're in the middle of a pandemic, but there will come a time when that won't be a factor. Put the work down and move away from it. Take time to go to Disneyland. Take time to go to the beach. Take time to go to the park. Be there, be present in the moment with those people that you love. When you're at work, be at work. When you're at home, be at home. Put the stuff away, put the work away. Don't answer text messages. Don't answer emails. Make phone calls to people that I know that's a crazy concept, but make phone calls to people that you care about or haven't talked to in a while. Help them to see that just because you're working and you're a full-time business owner, that you're not unapproachable or that you don't have time for them, because those relationships are some of the best relationships that you want to maintain. Okay, because they can be a support in times of crisis or winning. Who doesn't want to go to someone that's winning, that's successful? And so you need to maintain these relationships for your mental health. Pick up a hobby, pick up something that does not involve any way, shape, or form your business. For me, I enjoy the occasional video game. That's one of the things that I do. Eventually I would like to get back into gaming. At one point I was in it very heavily, and I'll tell you about that story, someday. But I say that not to become, addicted to video games or to spend more time with video games than the people that you love, but occasionally, enjoying some time that involves, can actually lead to some major breakthroughs, time that involves non-work. Resting and sharpening the axe, so to speak. One of Stephen Covey's principles is spend time sharpening the axe. And the reason for that is that you're a lot stronger if you're sharp. If you are dull and bored and broken, how good can you be? Which brings me to the next point. Get adequate rest. Spending an occasional 18-hour, 20-hour day is not going to hurt you long term. But if you're doing that constantly, if you're working so much that you're missing sleep, we need sleep. There are entrepreneurs and people out there that will say, "Oh, you can work on so little," and that's true. You can, but you're not going to be as effective as you are if you get a full amount of sleep. Okay, if you get your good 8 hours of sleep, your body needs it, your brain needs it. Some of my best ideas have come from when I've been asleep and I wake up refreshed, and this problem that I'd been struggling with fixing gets solved. not in my sleep, but because my brain continues to work on it, but I'm getting my rest. Okay. So your mental health, you need to get the right sleep. If you're still struggling, see a mental health professional, see a doctor to see if you are experiencing symptoms that can be helped through behavior therapy, medicine therapy. There are so many resources out there to help you that it's worth spending the time and money, if necessary, to get you to the next level, to get you to keeping up with those things that will help you move your business in a positive direction. Because here's the last thing you want to have to do is that you burn out and that amazing thing that you can do to help the rest of the world is gone because you aren't here. Let that sink in for just a second. Now, I know that this is an extreme thing to talk about, but it wasn't too many months ago. And I share with you, my listeners, because I want you to know that I am very aware of these things. First of all, my mother suffered from depression most of her life. And it was extremely difficult being the son of someone who struggled and who would get some help, but she didn't get all of the help that she needed in order to be the mother that she could have been. Now, I'm not suggesting she was a bad mother. I'm simply suggesting that she didn't reach her full potential as a person, and because of that, she didn't reach her potential as a mother. Now, I'm not here to say that what that was. I'm not her. I don't know what was in her mind, but I readily felt her absence because of the depression, and I'm not blaming her, except for not getting the help that she needed. Okay, and I too have suffered from bouts of depression and anxiety. And the stigma against this has got to go. We need to have this discussion, this conversation in society about mental health, because it's not getting better if we don't talk about it. In AA and other 12-step programs, they talk about the first thing you have to do is admit that you have a problem. That's the first step that you need to take. You need to be able to say, I suffer. I need help. I need someone to do for me what I can't do for myself. You can't get that if you don't admit it. If you aren't willing to come forward. And I know it's hard. I know how hard it is to ask for help. But not probably right around before the pandemic hit, thankfully. I was curled up in my bed. And I wanted to die. Because of the stress and anxiety that I felt over everything that I had to do. And it was through a loving wife and one of my best friends that I was able to get the help that I needed in order to move forward. I was able to see a medical health professional, see a doctor, and get on the necessary treatment. Now the pandemic hit, and then that screwed me up a little bit because I could still use help from some behavioral therapy, someone who I could talk to and address my anxiety attacks a little more fully from a behavioral standpoint as opposed to a medicinal standpoint. But while we are enduring this, while we're going through the pandemic, I understand the need for the social distancing and the lack of appointments available to me. And I will be honest with you, I'm doing much better much, much better. I was having 4 and 5 anxiety attacks a day. Every time the phone would ring, every time I'd get an email, I would have this shot of adrenaline that would just course through my veins. I could feel it. If you've ever been almost in a car accident, imagine that happening every day or several times a day. That was what it was like. And it was hard. It was painful. I had gained more weight than I could possibly tell you. I was at my absolute heaviest, and I was in so much pain because I had been eating my feelings, as we all had. During the pandemic, we all had been eating our feelings. And it took the love of others. So if you see somebody that is struggling, if you see somebody who you haven't heard from, please reach out. Find a way to help them, because sometimes they can't help themselves. It's not that they don't want to. They just don't know how. Because it seemed like, for the longest time, that the light at the end of the tunnel was an oncoming train. And that is a terrible, painful place to be when you struggle so much. When you keep pushing forward and you keep trying hard, and it seems like you're on a treadmill. Yeah, you're expending a lot of energy, but you're not really getting anywhere. And so we need to destigmatize mental health, depression. We need to be acceptable that when someone struggles and is having a hard time, that they are able to come forward and say, I hurt. I'm in pain. I need help. Can you help me? And that we don't look at them as lesser people, less competent. We don't look at somebody that has diabetes and say that it's their fault, or cancer, or a myriad of other diseases. Yes, in some instances, diabetes is caused because of obesity. Not going to debate that. Yes, in some instances, cancer is caused because of smoking. Not going to debate that with you. But no one starts out eating with the intent of getting diabetes. It's usually a symptom of a bigger problem, and that's what mental health is about. That's why you have to be careful. Because if you don't take care of yourself, if you're not able to admit that you have a need for help beyond what you're capable of doing for yourself, then someone else needs to help you. Recognize it. Someone who you trust. Someone that can be there and listen and see those warning signs of someone that is depressed or has anxiety attacks. Because it's not fun. Take care of yourself, right? I can't work. I can't be at my best if I'm not taking care of myself. That's just truth. I can't be the person that my clients need to be if I am stuck in bed because I can't get out. So, take time away from work, away from stress. Shut off your phones. Don't take texts or emails. Go for a walk with your friends and family. Of course, there's the social distancing factor, but the point is not what you do, it's that you do it in something outside of work. The only one you're benefiting, you're not benefiting anybody if you're not at your best. If you're not sharpening your saw or your axe every day to become the best that you can be, a lot of my books I read are for self-improvement because I want to be the best that I can be. And it's important that we recognize that as we become those best things, that our mental health is a part of that, just like our physical health. Why we need to eat better. Fruits, vegetables, non-sugary drinks, decent carbs, decent proteins, reasonable amounts of fat. These are all things that we all need to do. These all play a factor in our lives and in our health and our well-being. And so that's another thing is mental health when it comes to, taking care of our bodies with the right nutrition. If you've got some extra pounds because of COVID, no judging. Simple solution. Eat better. Leaner meats, vegetables, have a salad, a little bit of dressing. Don't go crazy. But all of these things are important. It's not about doing one thing every day. It's about doing little things every day. It's about making little choices for your health, for your mental health, for those around you. That's what helps you move the needle. That's where you sharpen your axe. Be patient with yourself and others. Change takes time. You didn't gain a bunch of weight overnight. You're not going to lose a bunch of weight overnight. Your mental health didn't get to where it was, good or bad, overnight. It took time. It took days. It took weeks, months, sometimes years. Be patient that you are worth it, even when things aren't happening as quickly as you want them to. Be patient with others. We still live in a world where mental health has a stigma attached to it. It's unfortunate, but it's true. One of the things I said, I said the other day to somebody, change takes longer than we'd like and costs more than we plan. That's true of everything. You can set these goals and these ideas, but in the end, there's always going to be something that gets in the way or that's going to cost more than you were budgeting for. The key is to be prepared for that. Be prepared to take care of these things. Because you can't anticipate everything, but you can anticipate that it won't go exactly to plan. As an entrepreneur, being able to zig and zag is one of the best things that you can have the ability to do. Being an entrepreneur, you can make those changes quickly in order to be successful. So please, if you are struggling, get the help you need. Help others in need if you're not struggling. If you're not struggling, you know somebody who is. Find them, help them. Give them the help that they're looking for because we need them. We need their ideas. We need their talent. We need each of you. Reach out to me. I'm here to listen. I will listen. You are not in this alone. So please, be patient. Work on your mental health. And until next time, keep on creating that business intentionally through planning and making your life the best that it can be, whatever that may be. We'll talk to you later.